Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm actually going to be talking about a series revival of a show that I used to watch all the time when I was younger, and that was the show Malcolm in the Middle on Fox. Hulu has recently done a revival, like a short season revival of only 4 episodes for Malcolm in the Middle called Malcolm in the Middle Life's Still Unfair, which is kind of a play off of a line that was used during the opening credits of the original show's run. But yeah, I was a huge Malcolm in the Middle fan back in the day. It was definitely a show on Fox that I would try to tune in for every chance that I could. I didn't see every single episode. I was actually kind of a little bit late to the game when it first started being shown on television. Um, but it's definitely a show ever since Disney Plus definitely kind of put all the older episodes back onto streaming. It's definitely been a show that I've been kind of interested in kind of revisiting and all that other stuff. And so recently with Hulu, what they did is they did, like I said, this revival. It's 20 years after the series finale from all the way back in the day. So we're kind of catching up with the characters. We're seeing what the Malcolm character has been doing over the course of, the past 20 years or so, ever since the show last ended. And that also goes for his other family members. Um, in this revival too, we also get to meet Malcolm's daughter, and if any of these other characters had kids of any kind, or got married, or had relationships that failed or succeeded in any way. The show kind of explores that for this new revival. And so basically, the main plot, I would say, of this revived series is that Malcolm is basically invited to his parents' anniversary event. It's basically like this big dinner party where almost everybody that they've known over the course of their marriage is basically going to be invited. And Malcolm's been kind of in a position where he kind of intentionally has not been in contact with his parents since we last saw him from the series finale. And, obviously every once in a while his mom might text him or they'll send him emails or something that he'll respond to. And they'll kind of fluff it with, like, oh, I'm so busy with work, I can't make that, and blah, blah, blah. And so over the course of this revival, basically, kind of the jig is up for him where now his own daughter basically wants him to kind of get back in touch with his own parents, which is basically her grandparents. And we kind of find out what was going on with them, why he's kind of a single parent with all this, why he, has this girlfriend that he is really hoping that things are going to work out with. And she gets along with the daughter and all this other stuff. And so over the course of these 4 episodes, we find out what's going on with Malcolm. Why is he really trying to ignore his parents every chance that he has? Is he even going to make it to this anniversary event that his parents really want him to go to? What's going on with his siblings? What's going on with, that baby that we were introduced to near the end of the show? What has his, sister become into, and all this other stuff. And we find out all this stuff over the course of Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair. But overall, guys, I liked this revival quite a bit. It is kind of too bad that it is only 4 episodes long, because I really do like this whole Malcolm in the Middle show. It's a fun show. Clearly, these actors and actresses have a really fun time playing these characters. And after 20 plus years, it is great seeing these characters on screen again, and basically slipping right back into the roles that we once knew them for. And it was a fun revival. I kind of crossing my fingers that we are going to get a season 2 of some kind, because there is some kind of unfinished business in a way by the time all 4 of these episodes are done with. And it is fun seeing these characters again. It really is fun seeing them getting into chaos again, with the family kind of up in arms about the smallest things. And, all the stuff that we loved about them from that Malcolm in the Middle original run back when it was on Fox back in the day. So it was just fun seeing these characters again. So let's go over some positives and negatives as to why I really like this revival, but some things about that I think could have used some improvement as well. So first and foremost, you guys, for my positives, pretty much every cast member you remember from that show slips right back into their roles perfectly fine. Whether it's Bryan Cranston or the mom character, or Reese or the older brother, or Dewey, who has been recast in this, unfortunately, because the original actor didn't want to return. We'll kind of get back to that here in the negatives here in a little bit. But we finally get to meet Kelly, a sister of Malcolm's that we really kind of only knew in baby form up to this point. And now we get to see her grown up and kind of what she's like and what her personality and character quirks are like. It was just so fun seeing all these characters and all these cast members slip back into these roles perfectly fine, and it was great seeing them play these characters again, and it was great kind of catching up with everybody over these course of the 4 episodes. There's also some fun new characters we get to meet, whether it is Malcolm's new daughter, whether it is Malcolm's new girlfriend, whether it is this Kelly sister that we get to finally meet in the show. Just tons of fun new characters here too. Um, we even get to meet one of the friends, one of the parents of one of Malcolm's friends from school, the kid who was handicapped. I think we get to kind of meet his father after all these years. I don't know if he was a big part of the show or not, but in this revival, he kind of has this thing going on with the Bryan Cranston father character that is a lot of fun too. So it's so great getting to know these new characters as well as catching up with some of those older characters. And I feel like the show has a right balance of getting us back to the familiar characters that we know, while also introducing some characters that we're new to that are kind of a big part of the show now and a big part of these characters' lives. I also do like how they do keep the tone and the sense of humor of the original show as well. So if you liked how goofy the show was on its original run, if you liked how all over the place and chaotic things got with the family, whether it is Hal doing something crazy that he thinks is going to help him, or Lois the mother, her doing something that's just absolutely outrageous and crazy like she would do on the show. They definitely keep that tone, they keep the humor, and I feel like this is definitely a fun continuation that's very much in that continuity that we remember of that show that we once loved. Then it's still going the way that we love it, seeing it go as well. I also like the themes that the show tackles, like the benefits of family, the weaknesses of family, the faults of family when when things aren't going right, and how we kind of accept them in the long term, and how we still love our family even if it's regarding family members that we might have personal picks with or personal problems with. The show definitely still has that theme and that balance of the benefits of your family, the weaknesses of your family, what's being around your family too much, what's not being around your family enough. The show kind of plays around with those ideas, and I think I just had a really fun balance overall for all those fun themes. The show is also always really engaging and really entertaining. I never felt bored during these 4 episodes. I feel like all 4 episodes kind of have a meaning and a purpose as to why they're going on the way that they do. I kind of feel like also each episode kind of had its own idea that it was trying to tackle. So I liked how each individual episode, while having a continuity, also had themes and ideas of its own that it was able to contain within each and every episode. So by the time you're, episode 2, episode 3, episode 4, it does tackle something different, whether it is a setting or a different character idea or something going on with another character. I do like how each and every episode is kind of its own thing, and I feel like that's definitely something that the show was able to successfully do back in the day, and it's able to continue it on in this revival as well. But for my negatives of the show, unfortunately, like I mentioned before, this is only 4 episodes long. I really don't get why it's so short. It has been so many years since we last saw Malcolm in the Middle episode. Why they couldn't have done it at least 6 episodes at a minimum, I really don't understand. But I don't know if the cast members just weren't available for that long, or Frankie Muniz didn't want to commit for that long, or the whole thing with not getting the original Dewey back, or Bryan Cranston having a busy schedule. Kind of hard to say. I'm sure only the cast and crew of the actual revival are going to know that, but it does feel kind of odd that in a world right now where streaming is such a big deal. In almost every show, whether it's big or long, or short or long, or whether the episodes are 1 hour long or only 30 minutes long, I do feel like most shows on streaming, at least at a minimum, get 8 episodes. And it is kind of weird how we only got 4 episodes for this one. So, like I said, I don't know if people just didn't have the commitment to pull off a full season of television. I know there was even a rumor at one point of Hulu releasing this as just an overall movie. So it would make sense that there would be 4 30-minute episodes, because that would equal 1 2-hour movie. So I don't know if they were kind of figuring out whether to release it as a movie or to release it as just a really short season of television. That's clearly what they did. They did the latter. But it does feel kind of odd that it is just 4 episodes long. I feel like for such a long wait, for such a long absence of these characters, I feel like the fans, anybody that's been watching the Fox show up to this point, deserves at least 6 episodes of this, and it is once again kind of odd that it is just 4 episodes long. I also thought some of the subplots that were explored in the show kind of don't really go anywhere. There's like a small one that I'm not going to try to spoil, but I am going to give you context of Reese, one of the brothers, versus Kelly, one of the younger sisters. And there's something that goes on with them in some of these episodes. And by the time you get to the series finale of this revival, it's something that really kind of doesn't go anywhere. I also thought there was some ties with Malcolm and his new girlfriend of them trying to figure out if they even want to be in a relationship or not. They kind of resolve it, but they kind of don't by the final episode. So that's something else I thought they could have explored a little bit more as well, or just have more closure to it more than what they ended up doing. So I thought some of those subplots really kind of didn't go anywhere, and I would have liked to see more closure on some of those ideas. And just more time I thought could have been spent with Dewey. He was one kind of main cast character that was kind of shortchanged in this. I know the original actor did not want to come back. I know he's kind of pursuing education, not really acting anymore. But I feel like even if you are going to recast him, I feel like it's almost kind of a waste of that new actor's time to put Dewey in the show, really only kind of to have him as just kind of a webcam character and the occasional flashback where he seems to be appearing in something that's happened ever since the show went absent. So I thought more time could have been spent with Dewey and just basically having him as a webcam character that these characters communicate with throughout the show in this revival. I thought was kind of a weak way to return that character. So I thought more time with Dewey and more time with Dewey being in person on the set, I thought could have benefited this revival as well. I also thought more time could have been spent in Malcolm's daughter's school. We kind of get to see a little bit of this private school life that Malcolm has placed her into, but once again, it just kind of really doesn't go anywhere. It just kind of, we get to know what her school life is like, and it just kind of has a cutoff point at some point just to kind of have closure to some other ideas that they're trying to explore. They kind of introduce it, don't really go anywhere with it. There's even kind of this party that's talked about that she has to go to at one point that they talk about early on in the season. And once again, it doesn't really go anywhere. They don't really show what happened or what that closure was. And I just thought more time could have been spent in that school. Once again, going back to 6 episodes if they really could have pulled it off. So Malcolm in the Middle, Life's Still Unfair. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Really, really enjoyed it. It was great seeing these characters again. I had a ton of fun watching it. The tone and the humor of the original show is still here. Like I said, though, with my negatives, it really could have been longer than 4 episodes, and that's coming from somebody that has a hard time finishing a season of streaming, and even I admit that this felt a little shorter than it could have been. Some of the subplots really could have gone in a more meaningful direction. More time with Dewey, I thought, was necessary, and more time at Malcolm's daughter's school, I thought, could have been necessary as well. But 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really enjoyed the show overall. I am praying and hoping we do get a season 2 because I feel like there's just enough open gaps here in the subplots where they could play around with that in a season 2. But I really enjoyed this revival. Hopefully we'll get more of these characters at some point down the road. But I highly recommend it, specifically if you're a Malcolm in the Middle fan. I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's 8.5 out of 10 for me.